Growing up, I came across a lot of people in the middle of altercations, both young and adults. And the most common thing I identified was that before they would get into a physical altercation, one of them would draw a line between them and the opponent they're about to fight and be like, Salawano, Salawano Nkulage. In simple terms, it was a dare statement that said, I dare you to cross this line and I'll unleash my wrath. What's the moral of this story today? Today we are discussing boundaries and why we need them. So not necessarily only physical boundaries, but keep watching to find out more. So what are boundaries anyway? Boundaries are a set of rules or guidelines that we put in place that clearly show others how to treat you. Boundaries are supposed to be beneficial to you, me and you, the people who put them in place. And there are several reasons as to why we all need to have boundaries in place. However, before we get into those, we need to know that there are several types of boundaries. But today we are going to dissect a few that I think cut across to whomever might be watching this. So without further ado, let's get into this. Emotional boundaries. We all need a safe space to express ourselves. And I believe we all know some or most of our emotional triggers. So that's why these boundaries come into play. They help us protect our mental health. And since you know your emotional triggers, you actually use those to let people know that, don't cross this line. That I will not tolerate from you. That I will not tolerate from you. Personally, when I'm expressing myself, when I'm trying to talk to someone and they start name calling, man, that's my cue. That is where the conversation is ending, and I'll clearly let you know. I came here to have this conversation with you so that it yields something, and clearly it is not working as I thought it would, and for that reason I think we should end the conversation here. If it's a phone call, I'll clearly tell them, you know what, this conversation is not going the way I thought it would, so let's end it here. We'll pick it up when you are in the right place or in the right state of mind to talk more in a civilized manner, because I really don't entertain name calling. Then I would end the call. If they insist on continuing calling, I'm not afraid to use the block button on my phone. Nara, I gladly use it just to make sure someone gets the message. You need to know that you don't talk to me in a certain way. I need to protect my mental health. I can't be getting mad, about something that can be prevented. So we all need such boundaries in place, because if you don't have such boundaries, they mess up with your mind, they mess up with your productivity at work, they mess up with your relationships at work, because you might find yourself busting out at the wrong person because someone else made you mad. Hence the need for emotional boundaries. Physical boundaries. I used to find it hard to enforce these boundaries, because to some people they would come off rude. But with me working from home, I really don't have the luxury of having people, pass by my place all the time without notice. So I made peace with it, and I clearly tell people, please don't visit without, first notifying me or giving me a call, because I work from home and my upbringing does not allow me to have a visitor in my house, leave them watching TV as if they don't have TV of their own, and then I go to my office to work because it's a working day. So these boundaries help me avoid all that. And even if you don't work from home, it's okay. It's okay to be protective of your physical space. Sometimes you're just not in the mood to chit chat. Or sometimes you just want to spend some good time with your personal person. Sometimes you want to spend some time with the Lord. These physical boundaries do come in handy because they help you program your day accordingly. Workplace boundaries. Sometime last year, there's this gentleman we were training, and he approached us with a challenge he had with his boss. So basically, his boss didn't respect his, private time, or for lack of a better word, let's say this gentleman didn't have workplace boundaries in place. This young man's challenge was his boss calls him all the time, even at wee hours of the night. He would call him even at 3 a.m. for work. Basically, wake him up in the night to work.
And I was like, so what?
And this is what we advised him. We're like, you need to talk to your boss. Tell him which hours you're not comfortable with him calling you about work, which days you're not okay with him calling you about work. And honestly, yes, we work for these companies, or we own companies, but at the end of the day, tomorrow, if anything happens to you, God forbid, you are replaced just like that. Just like that. Before you even enter the ground, your position is advertised. You are replaced. So it is vital. Yes, it is good to work. It is good to work hard, but it's also key to have some time for yourself. You need to rest. You need time to spend with your family. You need time to relate. You need time, for friendships. If you want relationships in your life to thrive, you need to give them time. So in case you're out there and you didn't have workplace boundaries in place, it's high time you implemented some, because you really do need them. So back to this young man, like we had predicted, his boss didn't listen to him, but we had told him ways of enforcing these boundaries so that his boss does get the message, which was, if he continues calling that night even after talking to him, don't pick his calls. And if he insists on calling non-stop, please don't be afraid to use the block button. Yes, block your boss. So after some time, he did apply that, and finally the boss did get the memo, and he stopped calling at those wee hours of the night. These boundaries, implementing them is not going to be easy, but you will have to enforce them until people get it. And lastly, material boundaries. I believe we have all seen these headlines, or heard of a friend, or a relative, or something like that. All over the world, we have all seen the headlines whereby we see children killing their parents for material possessions. And I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I believe it's because these parents didn't enforce material boundaries. Because if you don't have such boundaries in place, they breed entitlement. They breed entitlement. So we all need to clearly have material boundaries in place for people to respect our possessions, our properties. Otherwise, people will, start feeling entitled, and they'll start taking actions and making decisions on your behalf without notifying you or without your consent. In my household, it is not okay for you to come and take anything of mine without asking for permission. It doesn't matter whether it's my husband or my sister or my siblings. It doesn't matter who you are. It's not okay. And they all know that. And I have this in place because my brother growing up instilled this in me. So it's really key to have material boundaries in place. It doesn't matter whether you're so rich or still getting there, whether the most expensive thing you have is a dress in your closet. People should know that you don't have the right to take it without your consent or your permission. As simple as that. We all need this in place. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comment section below of other essential boundaries that we need to have in place. Those that I have mentioned, or those that you think I should have mentioned. Otherwise, if you like the content in this video, give it a thumbs up and feel free to share the video. Until next time, ciao.